Oh, I need a drink.
You need some tea.
Some tea would be lovely.
Speaking of, is this a new tea set, Eyafrim? Are you spending your hoard again? What have I told you about saving?
Well, no.
Was it given to you by exchanging items for it?
No, by promising not to torch their house. They gave me this tea set.
Oh, we seem to have a visitor.
This is not Neverwinter. Where am I?
You, my friend, are in the realm of forgotten memories. And welcome.
Wait, I thought this was our day off.
Yeah, I thought so too, but it seems that something went wrong while they were doing something, and they managed to pull themselves here.
Let's face it, do we ever get a day off? Anyway, may I ask, what were you doing before you arrived here?
Introductions first, please. This is very rude of you just to ask why I'm here all of a sudden.
You suddenly popped into our cave.
By accident?
Yes, which is why we're trying to figure out what happened. But yes, it is kind of rude for us not to introduce ourselves. I am Rue. And welcome to the Delegation of Dreamers.
Thank you. Somebody has a little sense of decorum around here. I am Mal.
Nice to meet you, Mel. I am Ashura.
And I'm Eyafrim.
Now, the introductions, I will gladly tell you where I was doing. I was on my way to Neverwinter with a nice little circle of teleportation magic, and now I'm here. I must have written something down wrong.
Oh. Have you tried turning the circle off and on again?
You're not very bright, are you?
I'm not the one who accidentally teleported here.
Touché. Touché.
You were going to Neverwinter?
Yes, I was on a personal mission to deal with a lord that I'm not too happy with right now.
What did the Lord do?
Does it really matter? He's a lord.
Understandable, but it's still curious. Being nobility myself, it is interesting to know that somebody is displeased with the Lord. Well, former nobility. I guess I am no longer nobility.
I'm displeased with most nobility. Now, you being former, you're cool. But overall, most nobility just needs to be wiped out.
I can't say I disagree. Most of the ones I know are complete assholes. Most. Not all, but most.
Well, maybe they're assholes because people are trying to wipe them out.
Maybe they're assholes because they just want you to make poisons for them to assassinate people, and you don't want to.
Ah.
Is that what happened?
Maybe. I plead the fifth.
I don't know what the fifth is, but...
I don't either. I just heard somebody say it once.
Well, I am curious. What is with that H on your hat? It seems to be made with some very valuable gems.
It's a gift from a friend, I guess. My court jester is a very big fan of mine, and wanted something to remember him by when we parted ways for a bit. His name was Harold.
Ah.
The only man I respect.
Ah. Interesting. It's good that you have found somebody that you respect. I find that a touching sentiment.
There's a reason I still wear it.
Yes. Speaking of that, you seem to have a few... I think they're magic items, but my vision is failing me a bit here. Could you tell us a bit about them?
Yes. Under the mask, there's a small helmet that kind of fits on the head. It looks almost like upside down Darth Vader helmet. It's like, I can read all languages with this just to help me out. You know, I'm pretty intelligent, but this helmet comprehend languages just shores up a few gaps I have in my intelligence. And if I get upset with you, I can just blast you with a circuit of blasting. And got a nice pair of shoes on me. Just help me get through snow a little bit faster through the winterlands. And an icicle. So any fire you might breathe on me will be ineffective.
I was wondering what was with the icicle.
Yes, it was a spoils of war from a frost giant.
Ah.
Have you had a lot of interactions with the frost giants?
Just two. One very nice and one not so nice. Oh, and a dead one too. But aside from that, didn't really deal much with frost giants. before all this, before I got sent here, before I was on my way to deal with that lord, I was on a quest to kind of put the natural order back in the way of things, back where I'm from. If you don't know, giants, they have a very strict caste system, and that caste system got thrown out of whack. There was a nice frost giant who asked us for help. You know, he paid, obviously. I'm not going to work for free. And he guided us to where we needed to go. And we had another frost giant who was dead who gave us a few more suggestions on what to do. Sad to know that the frost giant died, and that he didn't die because apparently he's just immortal.
What specifically did they hire you to do?
Well, they hired us to get a new king on the throne of the storm giants.
A new king? What happened to the old king?
Well, supposedly he was dead, but turned out he was just captured. So we just put the old king back on the throne later. I don't remember his name. It was like Heckman or Heckaman. I don't know. Something like that. It didn't really matter. I'll roll them all one day anyway.
Ah, ambitious. I like it. But, so storm giants are the ones normally in charge of the giants, then?
Yeah. There's a system. It goes storm, cloud, fire, and frost are kind of in the middle. And you got stone, and then at the bottom are the dumbass hill giants.
Ah,
They're kind of just your fat, lazy slobs who eat people like me.
Yes, hill giants are kind of unpleasant,
Depends on the hill giant.
I suppose.
Haven't really met one that's pleasant yet. They stink to high heaven.
Oh, I don't think they have soap.
There's no excuse. You can at least use water.
True.
But what are you three doing? You're just hanging out in a cave?
Yes, would you say we collect memories? Ashura, would you say that's accurate?
Yes. Memories, adventures, echoes, so to speak.
Yes, we do that so that when somebody dies, they are not completely forgotten.
You remind me of my court jester Harold a little bit. He didn't want me to die either.
Did you die?
I did die, making a very noble sacrifice in a very uncharacteristic way.
Could you tell us a bit about that?
Of course, actually it was on the way to the Dead Frost Giant. We went down to pass me, our paladin, who is my knight, and our rogue, my court spy, went down a tunnel to explore, and were attacked by multiple giant spiders. Now, we had already been through a lot of this temple before coming across this area, and miscalculating my spells, I told my two compatriots to run. I stayed behind, was going to cast Fireball, and then book it. The spiders were faster, and they proceeded to eat me. Or at least paralyze me and take me down to death.
They booked you.
Hmm?
You were going to book it. It appears they booked you.
Oh, yes, they did book me. About 10 minutes later, they came back for my body, killed the spiders, took me, and all I remember past that is waking up in a large town at the bottom of the mountain, in front of a crying bard.
Was the bard the one that brought you back?
So what they've told me, what my rest of my party has told me, was that they put me in a bucket, carried me down the hill. Well, not the hill, the mountain. It was a long trek. It took about 7 days to get down. My body must have been really stinky by then. But they ended up bringing me to a priest, paying to raise my body. But at the same time, Harold decided to bedazzle my hat. So as a show of good faith, I've kept this hat on ever since, because I do owe him.
So the H stands for Harold?
Yes, the H does stand for Harold. He was very vainglorious, more so than me.
How did your journey with the giants start?
Oh, before leaving, I used to be a part of the Zentarum, as well as the rogue that was with us, and we were sent to a nearby town to deal with some goblins that had supposedly ransacked it. And in the process, maybe insert a Zentarum leader or two into the town, as this wasn't a big community, but it was a crossroads town. It had a bit of trade action going on. And from there, after the goblin attack, after the goblins were taken out, we were met by a cloud giant who asked for our help. And that's how the adventure started.
And the cloud giant just attacked you, asked you what?
Oh no, he came down like a celestial angel on a cloud with a tower on top, came down and asked, I need some adventurers to help. And my party being the fools that they are, agreed. But I agreed because he was a wizard and I wanted his spells.
So you're in these journeys for the money and the glory.
I'm in these journeys for power.
And what do you plan to do with all this power?
Just depose every lordling and lordess in the world and take over it myself. Simple.
And when you do so, will you just stop at your own world, or will you go to other worlds, other realms?
I'm not so stupid as to think I would go to every other world. One world's enough. I simply want to rid my world of anyone who would dare prey on the weak.
So you're trying to take over the world to make it a better place, not to just rule on your own.
Exactly. See, nobody else understands this when I tell them, look, I will be a benevolent dictator. Apparently, Celestials don't see it as much because when I died, I went to hell.
Bet you met some characters there.
I wasn't there long enough, thankfully. I did meet a fiend once, tried to spy my soul, but I simply told him no and left.
So, how's your world conquest going? How many nations have you conquered so far?
I've conquered a small town or two. I own a manor.
Okay, well, that's something.
How'd you go about getting the manor? And is it just you alone that owns it, or does your party?
Oh no, I own it alone. We forged documents from it. My spy, the party's rogue, is able to forge documents. So after a ranger in the party who was with us for a little bit, who needed to get from point A to point B, murdered the last surviving member of the manor for reasons I'm not sure why. I'm not very much a part of wanton murder. That's not my MO. We decided let's just take over ourselves and made some false documents that we own this manor now. And I do.
All right, good for you.
It's one way to go about it.
That certainly is one way to do it.
I was quite proud of our party, to be quite honest. They knew how to get stuff done.
Tell me, what is the most harrowing thing that has happened in your adventure? Besides dying?
Besides dying, overall, trying to invade the fire giant's home. That was not a good idea.
Why were you trying to invade the fire giants? Those beings are quite deadly.
We needed some objects that they had. Rumor had it that they had a piece of an object that would crown whoever would be the next storm giant king. Giant law and, lore is odd. A hill giant could technically become the next king if played right, but that's not really going to happen, but you get my point. We were trying to get a piece the fire giants had, and every option for stealth ended poorly.
You were caught by guards, thrown in cells.
Actually, we were caught by the wife of the fire giant king. We found her in the kitchen, and she threw pots and pans at us and almost killed me and the paladin, and with one hit from a pot.
Ooh, remind me never to get on one of their bad sides.
I'd rather fight a hill giant than a fire giant. Put it that way. And those things eat gnomes.
Fire giants will torch you.
Yeah. Luckily, I had polymorph and managed to get us out of there. But aside from that, it was a very harrowing experience.
And out of curiosity, why did the fire giants have the crown for the storm giants?
Oh, it was part of the objects that they needed. The rumor had that they had a piece that we needed. Turned out that they may or may not have, because after we left, we took a different route and managed to succeed in our mission without their help. It was a very odd situation. We were fed not incorrect, but not wholly correct information.
You said these were items you needed. What were they needed for?
Oh, it was just certain. We needed it was the fire giant hammer. Fire giants tend to be fans of large weaponry. We needed their hammer to bring back and to attach to a statue in order to light the way towards where the actual king might be.
So who took the king? Was it the fire giants?
No, actually, it was not. None of the giants actually took part in it. It was a dragon,
Oh.
an ancient blue dragon to be precise.
Do you recall their name?
Yes, her name was Imrith, and she was a horrid creature. And was Imrith very crafty. I am actually quite impressed with how crafty she is, and seeing as blues are not near as intelligent as greens are.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. But yes, it was a blue dragon disguised as an actual storm giant.
So they used polymorph in order to look at the storm giant?
Yes, sir. She polymorphed herself into a storm giant just to get away with trying to put herself on the throne or somebody she could puppet. But we figured out her plan and chased her out of the court, but she'd be back, so we had to go off and find her lair.
How did you manage to find out her plot?
We got lucky, to be quite honest. We said the right thing at the right time and pissed her off.
How did it help to piss her off?
Oh, she panicked. Apparently, she was not very prepared if things did not go correctly. And 100% right.
Blues do tend to be a bit full of themselves.
Yes. She happened to say something to the king's daughter, and we caught on that maybe this wasn't entirely true. So we called her out on it, and she didn't know how to react. So she polymorphed back into a dragon and flew away, vowing to return and kill us all.
They do hold grudges as well.
Yes, they do. From there, we decided we hunted down the king, got him back, and then dealt with the blue dragon afterwards.
I assume it wasn't too easy doing so.
No, when your wizard has to tank the dragon's bite attacks, you've messed up somewhere along the way.
And why was the wizard tanking them?
Because I happened to learn a nifty little spell known as Tensor's Transformation. It allowed me to become a walking, whirling death machine. With extra health, I was stronger, I was tankier. I'm a war wizard, in case you didn't know. So, out of all the wizards, I'm obviously the strongest. But between me and the paladin, we held off the dragon long enough for the rest of the party to take it down.
That's good, at least. And with that done, you didn't have any more troubles?
From there, no. I actually went on to... Once the dragon was killed, our job was done. We were paid, we were given our gold, our magic items that we needed. I was not given any magic items, as we weren't given enough. And so I went without, seeing as I had gained what I needed from this. I had gained favor with a king, who I was to dispose of at some point later.
You disposed of the king that you became friends with.
Well, I'm not taking him out yet. It's not that I have to take him out specifically, I just have to take everybody out.
Ah, okay.
I can't control the entire world myself. I have to put in puppets in little, very specific areas to keep track of things for me. And I can't control this king specifically.
I suggest keeping them as an ally until you establish yourself.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yes. Can you tell us a little bit about the people that were in your party, like who they were, or who the most important one was?
Well, the most important one was Harold, our bard, simply because he brought me back to life. Very flamboyant, if you catch my drift. And very powerful and useful, however. Very funny man. That's why he's my court jester, and still is to this day, and why I still wear this hat. The paladin and the rogue, their names aren't important. It's vassal knight and spy, as far as I'm aware, as far as I care. The paladin, very, very useful, very, very helpful. Actually paid attention to what I said to do, and we came out on top every time. The rogue, not so useful. She stole our kill.
Stole your kill? Like, ran away with it?
No, but as a friendly little rivalry, we all like to keep track of how many goblins or giants we've taken out. And that fight with Imrith, like I said, the paladin and I had to tank the dragon ourselves. We did most of the damage to it as well. One little arrow from the rogue, who had missed every shot beforehand, killed her. Caught her right in the eye and took her down.
Oh, that would be very frustrating.
Yes. I was unconscious when it happened, so I only heard from the paladin.
Well, if she shot the killing arrow, then she deserves the glory.
Does she, though? She didn't do anything for most of the fight, aside from hide.
Well, she killed the dragon.
Finish off a dragon.
She finished the dragon. We did the work.
Either way, taking down a dragon is a feat in itself. I've had to take down a few of my brethren before.
Oh, it's fair. No, it was a feat in and of itself. Take the dragon. We just wish she would have done a little more work in that fight. Pulled a little bit more of her own weight.
Did you have any pets or summons or anything like that that were instrumental in your journey?
We have two. We have two. I say we. We have one, and I have one. We, as in the party, we had a horse named Boris, who was a valiant steed who carried our wagon around with all of our goods and supplies. The only other member of the party that I really cared about. That's how much I like this horse. This horse didn't speak. He did what you told him to do. It was very, very useful mount.
It didn't steal your kill?
Nope, didn't steal my kill. We almost died protecting him, but it was worth it. This horse had done nothing wrong.
And what did you say the horse's name was again?
Boris.
And how did you go about meeting Boris?
We bought him. We just happened to buy him from a, stable. We were in town and went, we need a cart to carry our stuff in. And bought ourselves a horse. It's a very boring story of how Boris came to be, but he was a very important member of the party.
Many horses are.
Yes, and you mentioned another.
Yes, I can summon a gargoyle to my side. A simple spell. Most wizards of any sort of caliber can do it. But being as small as I am, I'm able to use him as a mount. So I have aptly named him Mount. And he's evil just like me, so it works out.
So you admit you're evil.
I admit I'm evil, yes. I know where I stand. I know what I'm doing is at the best and nicest course of actions.
How come you don't have a bee on your hat for Boris?
Boris can't write. He's a horse. Do you expect him to work a jewelry set?
Yeah? I mean, he can pull his weight, can he?
He did pull his weight by carrying all our stuff. He pulled all of our weights.
A very strong horse.
Yes, but they lack the fine motor skills to use a jewelry kit.
I don't know. I don't trust horses that can't use a jewelry kit.
I wouldn't trust a horse that could use anything other than its legs to walk. It'd be horrifying. Although in the worlds we come from, that wouldn't be surprising.
Yes, I've heard of a world where the horses are ghastly creatures that are terrifying to behold. So, at least we don't have to deal with any of those.
I mean, I could summon one if you'd like. I also can do that, but he doesn't have any emotions. He's just a spirit.
I think I'm good.
Yes, we've seen horses before.
We actually have a few every now and then outside the cave.
Do you now? I could use some more bones.
I mean, those are on the other end of the cave.
Oh,
Just don't ask why they're there.
I would assume for food. You are dragons.
Yeah, I mean, mystery solved.
Yes. Dear.
Do you still keep in touch with your cat? Yeah, damn it, I'm redoing that.
Do you still keep in touch with your horse?
No, we actually allowed the bard to take him. We allowed Harold to take the horse. Harold took care of him mostly. I have no need of a horse. I can fly. I can summon things to let me fly. I can summon a spectral horse if I need to. I have no need of Boris. He was simply a fine adventuring compatriot while he lasted.
And the rest of your cohorts, do you not keep in touch with them either?
I keep in touch with Harold from time to time, and I keep track of what my other compatriot were doing. But we all understand that this was more of a business transaction than a friendship. So they're off doing their own thing. I know the paladin's off trying to subjugate another section of the world, so I might come across her again at some point. The rogue is probably spending her time at the brothels, and Harold is off performing.
And what are your plans for after this? How do you plan on taking over the world?
I mean, I'm a gnome. I live a long time. Technically, we're immortal. Most of my plans involve getting in good with the nobles. I mean, I'm a war hero after all. And then systematically taking them out one by one without getting caught, until eventually there's nobody left but me. Or just become strong enough to cast Wish. That too.
Ah, yes. The wish spell is definitely a good choice.
Speaking of spells, what is your favorite spell currently?
Currently, my favorite spell? Enlarge Reduce, funny enough.
Oh my.
I am very short.
Ah.
To enlarge myself to 6 feet tall is a blessing.
Oh, that's what you meant.
Yes, what were you thinking?
I would rather not say.
Ashura, Ashura, Ashura. For shame.
For sure.
Other spells, I do enjoy other spells, but that's my favorite. Others I include are Soul Cage, Big Beast Hand, Blight, things that will help me either defend myself or make my enemies scream in pain before me.
Blight is a terrifying one.
I was saying I've gotten much use out of it.
And have you had a favorite moment where you used one of these spells?
I have a least favorite moment, if you'd like that.
That'll go too.
I was also turned to stone at some point by a basilisk. So I'll just paint you a picture, as well as my court jester could. Our bard casts Lehman's tiny hut. We sleep for the night. Wake up the next morning to find out there are basilisks staring us down, knowing that this is a weird ball in the middle of nowhere. We have to kill them. I leave the hut, cast Blight, mid-cast, I start turning to stone.
Oh,
Because I am not a very hardy creature. I am smart, but I am not strong.
that is a terrifying position to be in.
Life of an adventurer.
Yeah, it is indeed definitely the life of an adventurer. I'm just glad that fewer people knew Blight in the world I was from. Being a plant creature, I would have been in a very nasty situation more times than not.
Ah, yes, I've cast Blight on a few plant creatures. It is not a fun sight for people who would be plant creatures.
Yes.
Especially those fire giants. They would not match well with our plant buddy Rue over here.
Oh, yes. No, most of their home is full of rocks and metal. Very few things can be touched by them and not be burnt to a crisp.
Can you tell us a bit about how you decided you wanted to start taking over the world?
Well, as you can see, the wizard book on my back is much larger than a gnome would be suggestive of, correct? This book is about the size of my torso, because it's not originally mine. I was simply an alchemist. I did my job. I made potions. I made, healing tonics, cough medicine, whatever you might need. And the people in my town loved me. One day, a local noble came by. I didn't know who he was. I had no need for nobles. He wasn't from around here. I mean, he was local, but, it's a tiny town. It's not tiny, but you don't really need to worry much about people bothering you. This noble comes in and asks me to make him a poison. While that is in my purview of skills, and I could very much do it, I refuse to, as I do not, at the time, did not believe in harming others. Well, he did not like that. That night, he came in, kidnapped me from my home, or gnome-napped me. I'm not a child. I am 50 years old. I woke up in his home and was kept there as a prisoner until one day I managed to break out of my chains. I slipped out after not being fed for a number of days. You tend to lose a little bit of weight. Found his spell book, quickly learned at least one basic spell, magic missile, would do the job. Found the noble, killed him, destroyed his home, and decided from that day forth, no more nobles. I will be the only person to control anything.
He kidnapped you just because you didn't make a poison for him.
Yes, and he kept me in his home until I made the poison, which I still did not do. Ironically enough, I found a potion of poison later down my adventure path. I keep that as a reminder. I refuse to use it. I'll only keep it as a sentimental reminder of why I do what I do.
Understandable. And you are quite a strong-willed creature.
Well, that's what being in this line of work gets you. You have to be strong-willed in order to make alchemy supplies, or bend the rules of reality to your will. Those of weak will not get by far in the adventuring lifestyle.
And if you could, what part of reality would you want to bend the most?
My height,
A little touchy about that?
yes. I understand I'm a gnome, but I'm even short for a gnome. That is why the first spell I learned, as soon as I became strong enough, was Enlarge Reduce.
Understandable. I'm a bit short from my own race, being only 4 foot tall. I'm roughly a foot shorter than most of the others.
I'm only 3 foot. Most gnomes sit at about 3.5 to 4.
Yes. I have a question for you that might be interesting with how you view nobles and such and gods. If you were made a god, what would you be the god of?
That is an interesting question that I had not thought of. I would like to usurp. Is it Bane? Is he the one of tyranny?
That sounds right, but I'm not 100% sure.
It's either Bane or Bale. Let me look at my notes. Yes, it is Bane. I have not had a run in, but Bane would be the god that I would like to usurp one day to take over his role as the god of tyranny.
Understandable.
Another question, if I may.
Yes.
Many people try to take over the world, you yourself included. Would you say you have any decent rivals in that marathon that you're trying to run?
The Red Wizards of Thay would be a very much thorn in my side if I ever run into them. I have not yet run into one though. Maybe they accept me into their ranks for a while, but that would probably be my biggest rival.
They are tricky ones.
Hmm. They're crueler than I am. I do not wish to commit experiments on people. I just wish to rule them and create my own laws. They, however, are necromancers of the worst order. And that comes from somebody who does specialize in a bit of necromancy myself.
All right, I believe that will be it. I think a man of your stature should be able to find his way back. But if you require some bones in the back, feel free.
If I got here on my own, I can get back on my own. I just need to use my blue sapphire chalk and I should be just fine.
All right. Until we speak with you again, have a good awakening.